Welcome to the weather forecast for the week beginning Wednesday, April 13th, 2022. I'm Chief Meteorologist John Ensworth for Longmont Public Media. Saturday, April 16th, we have our full moon with the moon rise about 7:50 in the evening and setting with the sunrise at 6:30 in the morning. This full moon defines when Easter occurs, because Easter occurs on the first Sunday after the first full moon after the vernal equinox. So this year it puts it Easter on Sunday, April 17th. Looking at drought conditions for last week to this week, I have a lessening of drought down here. That's about all I detect. Just so the southern mountain ranges got a little relief from drought. Nationally, there's less drought in the Great Plains and a little more in the west, going from last week to this week. Looking at our snowpack, we are approaching peak snowpack right here. If you take a look at the average green line, the lowest ever, and the highest, when you have the higher snowpacks, they tend to come later as part of a continuous number of systems and last a little longer, so it kind of tilts forward. So the peak, though, on normal is right about here. So we're climatologically we're passing peak. That doesn't mean we couldn't get a whole bunch of storms and bump back up over and actually have a delayed peak, but well, when you see the 10-day, that's not very likely. Looking at the precipitation, this is melted snow and rain. Going from Fort Collins down to the Springs, very, very little happened along I-25. The mountains, northern mountains especially, got some good precipitation. So looking at the probability of severe weather, going from the last week of March, first week of April, second week of April, you can see it expanding out towards Oklahoma. A little chance there entering into our state on the eastern edge. Okay, looking at the actual severe weather for Wednesday, very dangerous situation in the Mississippi Valley here. Then that front sweeps out, and then the whole thing resets for Friday as the new lineup from Dallas-Fort Worth up to Kansas City and up into Iowa for an enhanced chance of severe weather. Going back real quick, we do have this little chance of thunder up in the northwest part of Colorado and a little chance of thunder on the eastern slopes in a couple days, Friday. Looking at the national maps for today, we have pretty good snow up here. They are not doing great on their geography because they have Denver and the Northeast Plains inside of heavy snow, and that's just not happening. It is windy and clear out there. There's a fire danger out, but so I don't know what's going on with that. For the 14th, a little chance of snow-rain mix in the northwest part of the state as that front sweeps down, and then new dry line and moisture coming back in. We have snow up in the northern mountains only on Friday. But over the next 10 days, our normal high temperature goes from 61 to 63. Our normal low is staying above freezing. We start out below freezing. Actually, this morning we were about 15 degrees. It was nippy. For out the next 10 days, we stay at the lower end of normal. So that's pretty interesting. But precipitation-wise, look how absolutely boring it is until you get out to this day 10, which stuff happening this far out, 8 to 10 days. I wouldn't put a lot of stock in, but so there could be actually a good storm out there. There could be some hope, but it's not going to show up in the models yet. There also isn't much to highlight over the next week. So Monday PM is going to be our warmest day over the next 10. You can see the ridge is right over Colorado, almost right over the Front Range, so giving us sinking air and warmth. The next sign of something doesn't show up too strongly in the upper air map like the one I just showed. But Tuesday PM, at the very end of our forecast, you can see a very vigorous cold front beginning to spread into Kansas, Nebraska, and plunge down the eastern slopes and also the western. So, yeah, there's something out there. We'll be talking about it underway next week. So over the next 10 days, taking a look at where we are right here, you can see the ridge kind of comes in Friday, and it builds a little bit more on Saturday. Then this little trough comes in for Sunday. It's not much, and there's no moisture for it. On Monday, the ridge is right back. we warm up pretty well with southwest winds. There's another ripple on Tuesday, and this where the cold front comes in is whatever that causes. And that doesn't look very impressive. It's pretty short and quick, but it seems to get a good scoop of cold air with it. A ridge comes back, and then Friday the 22nd, there's something bigger coming down. That looks like a good storm. So let's take a look at the current cold air spreading down, causing the severe weather. Then into the weekend, Friday into Saturday, you can see the warmth just stays over Colorado. We have cold to the north, cold to the east. It keeps trying to come back, but it really can't. Here's Monday, where really warm, cold is. I mean, you could drive over to Kansas and freeze if you want, or enjoy the warmth here. And then the cold front plunges in on Wednesday and spreads down across this region. I'm only going to show a little bit of this. It's not very exciting because each storm that comes into the Pacific Northwest comes in and just fizzles over the Rockies. You get lows forming, and then they go on and do something out in the plains or up in the northern Midwest, but it's just not anything to talk about. Here's Tuesday next week, and we still haven't had a good storm. Here comes that cold front, and there's precipitation out in Kansas. So keep your fingers crossed, but right now it doesn't look like much. Over the next 5 days, we should stay dry along I-25. The mountains get a little bit of precipitation. Over the next 5 days, snow also limited to the higher elevations. For the next 10 days, maybe that hint of something coming in at the day 9, day 10 part gets us a little bit less than 1/4 of an inch of precipitation, but touches of snow on the eastern plains, I-25, looks to remain very dry. So we start out cold on Wednesday, when we get into the 40s. By Wednesday night, we dip back into the 20s again. Then we go above freezing for much of the next week, except Friday night, Saturday morning. We got 60s and then 70s into the weekend, 72 on Monday, 78 on Tuesday as that ridge passes. Tiny chance of precipitation on Saturday with that next storm, but again, it'll probably just be up in the mountains. And taking a look at Easter morning forecast, if you're going to go to a sunrise service, sunrise will be at 6:19 a.m. Temperature 41 Fahrenheit, which has got to be one of the warmest Easter sunrises I can remember. It should only have 20% cloud cover, so some nice color in the sky, looking very well decorated, but you should see the sunrise nicely. Winds will be out of the west-northwest at 8 miles per hour, so definitely take a coat and a hat, but you'll be good. For more frequent weather updates and local news, check out longmontleader.com and broomfieldleader.com. This has been Chief Meteorologist John Ensworth. Keep looking up.